what is the key to success? I can tell you this. It's not quitting. That's at least part of it. There's no guarantee of success if you keep trying, but there's certainly a guarantee of failing if you stop trying. Right? So that's kind of how I see things. So I know I'm notorious. Believe me, I'm notorious for launching something new. And I know every time I do, y'all are like, oh, Freak Daddy's up to it again. Here he goes. Got another plan, got another scheme, got another plot. But, I started podcasting, literally. Podcasting before there was an iPod. I was releasing my programs on compact disc back in the day, right? And I should have been releasing them on cassettes as well at that given time. Maybe put some on 8-track for some of my listeners. And I've been in this audio game, this media game, literally since the 80s. Going back to college when I was doing voice work. I mean, that's where I started, right? Doing the voices, doing the commercials, doing all that stuff. They are great. Except I never did Tony the Tiger. That wasn't me. But I've done a lot of stuff over the years, and now, interestingly, ubiquity has caught up. Some of us who are out there as outliers and innovators, eventually, if we just keep doing what we've been doing forever, long enough, people are like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. Oh, a podcast. Oh, I get it. Yeah, it's a thing I can listen to. Or in some cases, watch. This is not my podcast. This is a promotional piece for my upcoming podcast, which is about to launch, which is called These Are Not the Droids You're Looking For. Jedi Mind Tricks for Everyday Life. Because, as we know, life has little to do with what happens and a whole heck of a lot more to do with how we handle it. Now, at any given point, anything can happen. Sometimes that's a minor inconvenience. Sometimes that's a major malfunction. As I'm driving my Ford Transit Connect van with the dashboard lit up, because it's got, I don't know, the odometer stopped at 253,000 miles some time ago. I don't know how many miles I got on this car, but I'm always out doing something, and right now I'm headed to driving from Lexington to Winchester, then from Winchester to essentially Campbellsville to Liberty, Kentucky, to do my foster parent promotion stuff. I'm out there rustling up the foster parents, which I have been. And now I'm an adoptive parent, and I fostered, and I have adopted. So I'm out there trying to walk the walk and talk the talk. But life ain't for the faint of heart, as we know, and lots of crazy stuff happens. And the best laid plans go astray, and we end up thinking, this is not my beautiful life. How did I get here? And it's not just letting the days go by. Usually it's because we've made some terrible decisions. I'm going to say that in my case. I've made some terrible decisions. I've made decisions based in both hubris, right? Just extreme pride. And I've made decisions based in frustration and based in anger and based in fear, based in desire. I've made all those mistakes. I've made many mistakes that have resulted in, oh, hey, there we go, a little tilt-a-whirl, in what Dave Ramsey, who I've studied with, just so you know, but through the Entree Leadership Program. Those of you who are Entree Leadership grads, rock on. That's the international. If it was this way, it'd be rock out, like, Ronnie James Dio. This is for the Entree Leadership, I think. But we're a special club because we gave Dave Ramsey a bunch of money and said, hey, teach us how to run a business. After which, 3 of mine failed back to back, Dave. So thank you for the advice. But what he says, where I was leading into this, is that he says you pay stupid tax, right? We do things, we pay stupid tax. And usually that's because we get ourselves deeply in debt because we've done stupid stuff. So I'm here to tell you, even after being college educated, even after being in the business and businesses and being in management and being in leadership and all of the stuff that I've done, I've still made horrible mistakes because, like I say, most of those decisions I made were based in some sort of external motivation, meaning I had something to prove to the world. So what I believe is when you come from a place of eternal peace and you realize that you don't have to listen to everything that pops into your head. I got that from Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now, I think is what that's called. Eckhart Tolle, amazing stuff. The New Earth, his work, and the Power of Now, well worth studying. You don't have to believe everything that pops into your head, right? Because a lot of crazy stuff is going to pop into our heads, and when that does, it's going to take us off our course. It's going to make us crazy. We're going to react, right? It's all that reaction time. Pops in, bam, we believe it, we accept it. There we go. Tilt on the curve. Sorry about that. My camera is so secured. But hey, it's raw video. What can I say? Remind me to anchor that down before the next episode of what is not my podcast, but a promo for my podcast, because this isn't going to be strictly audio. It's going to be on Apple iTunes, all the places you get your podcast. I think it's because I have my power cable plugged into this thing because I'm recording right now while I'm driving. But Jedi mind tricks, you can convince yourself of crazy things, or you can convince yourself of very cool things, and you can say, okay, I'm all right. And we'll talk about this in the podcast, a very simple meditation that I use where I speak to myself in the third person. You got this. You're okay. You're awesome. You're great. Which may sound like hubris, but that's not, right? Hubris is like, I'm so prideful that I'm going to go out there and prove to the world that I can do something, prove to myself I can do something. No, I'm simply saying, you got this as you're facing a conversation with someone that you've had confrontation with, right? That you got this. You don't have to freak out. You don't have to lose it just because you're speaking to somebody that you've had issues with, right? So simple stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm also going to talk to some guests who have been through this as well and had to find ways of overcoming their fears, overcoming their challenges, and moving on. So coming soon to whatever podcast platform you use, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Apple, wherever the heck else podcasts live these days, you're going to be getting it. These are not the droids you're looking for. I think that's the line from A New Hope, something like that. Star Wars Episode 4, right? Not that bad. I'm not a big Star Wars geek, and I know people are going to think I'm a Star Wars geek because I'm using that title. So don't quiz me on the crazy Star Wars trivia, because I don't know it. But I do know this: you can Jedi mind trick yourself, and once you do that, amazing things can happen.